Okay.
So we're joined from Petal, Mississippi by the founder and operator of the Petal Healing Garden, Keeley Morgan. We're so glad to have you today. We're in the agriculture career cluster here at Velma Jackson High School. I've got a room full here with me, and we're recording this for our friends at Rosa Scott, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and for our YouTube channel. So thank you so much. I know you have a presentation prepared because even though you are an agricultural professional now, your background is not in agriculture. So it's been an incredible journey that you have there in the Pine Belt that has been providing not only food for the community, but education for young people as well.
Right. Thank you all for having me this morning. My background is actually, well, I have a corrections background, as well as for the past 5 years, I've been a background investigator for a federal contractor. So yeah, agriculture is branching out into a whole different realm for me, but I am really enjoying it. So, um, it's exciting. So let me get my presentation together because it's a lot I could tell y'all, but I would rather stay on track. Hold on if I add like I'm tech savvy this morning because I really am. All right, can y'all see my screen?
I can. That's awesome.
All right. So basically, our slogan or motto is unifying the community one seed at a time. So basically, um, just disregard that because I haven't used this since December. The last presentation I did was for the Ellisville Garden Club. But basically, we just want to have a community garden or have multiple community gardens across our region to help unify the community, bring the community together. So our mission is to inspire and promote overall health and wellness through community collaboration gardening. So we were founded as a 501c3 nonprofit in November of 2021 to provide fresh produce to food insecure families and to reduce waste in our community. Our mission is to educate our people of all ages, income levels, and abilities by reconnecting them with local food systems and teaching gardening and nutrition education and working tirelessly to preserve our community for future generations. So I've always had a servant's heart, been a servant leader, always been involved in my community. But here in recent years, even through my community group, our neighborhood group, I see where a lot of people are suffering in terms of, getting access to food. So I basically just saw a need and decided to meet that need through community gardening. Because if you look at, we can go to single parent households. Mississippi is number one in the country for food insecurity. If a single mother has a choice of buying a dollar McDonald's hamburger, more than likely they're going to buy that hamburger versus, buying fresh produce because produce can be expensive. But if we can provide them with an alternative way to get access to fresh produce without having to purchase it, then I think that would help create a good local food system for them and also show them that they can be healthy and it doesn't, have to cost them a whole lot.
Yeah,
So
that's a great point because that's a big deal, especially in Mississippi, because the cheapest food is always the unhealthiest food. And these big farms, even though they do a great job of putting out tons of produce, the cost of that produce continues to rise.
right, and not only that, Greg, if you think about it, nothing against our big farmers, but a lot of them are using all these chemicals, and a lot of these chemicals have been linked to different types of cancers and diseases. So if you can have I mean, if you can inspire people just to start in their backyard gardening and not use all these pesticides and chemicals that are harmful, then that can kind of reduce some of the health and diseases that we are also seeing in Mississippi. So, um, gardening is a dying art. Well, farming in general is a dying art. I think from what I was told, it's only one program left in the state of Mississippi, and that's at Jones Community College. So, you know, horticulture and all that, a lot of people are not interested in that type of stuff anymore. So basically in addition to providing fresh produce, we just want to get kids more enthused about gardening, and because it's a lifelong skill, something we all need to be taught. And here in the South, we have the land and the resources to do so. So basically, our team consists of myself. We did have more people on the team, but currently we're restructuring our board. But of course, I'm the founder and executive director. We have Dee Works Lumpkin. She's our board secretary. Christy Tartable is our marketing person, and Amy Ward, she's our board president. I put a call out there, and they were interested, and they are very enthusiastic about our mission and our goal and what we're trying to do in the community. So we have 2 sites here in Petal. We have one that was provided by a local nursery. They have land right beside their nursery that they're not using and they don't ever plan to use. So they let us use that whole site for gardening. It's truly a blessing. So that site that we have over there is basically what we would use to grow fresh produce for a local food bank we have here in Petal. It's called Petal Children's Task Force. So they will get, last year I was able to provide them, I didn't get a chance to actually weigh the produce and get an exact number, but everything that we got from, I'll say the end of May to the end of July went to the local food bank, because although they get produce from Walmart, I've gone in there and I've looked at it and it's terrible. It's basically they get leftovers and it's not, fresh. So I just want them to have a fresh option to give the residents that they're serving here in our community. So our other site is actually behind our city park. We have a sports complex. We actually just had the fire department build us a gazebo over there, and it was raining last weekend, so I didn't get a chance to put the shed up. But we want that to be like a community hub where we have educational workshops, where we have our fundraising events, where we actually can go out with the children and do hands-on education in the garden, show them how to grow herbs, flowers, whatever, teach them about composting and things like that. So right now, that's just our 2 sites. I've had people ask me, would we be expanding? As long as we have the manpower, we can do that. But right now, I'm just trying to limit it to those 2 sites because we just don't have the volunteers to do that. So as far as community involvement, we have partnered with our school district, our local library. We revived our farmers market here. And we also partnered with Mississippi State, the Forest County Extension Service, to develop a program called Grow a Road to Share. So what I envision is, in terms of food insecurity, if I know that this is something we are fighting across the state of Mississippi, while limited to my area, I can't be in all 82 counties at one time creating community gardens. So I actually adopted this idea from LSU. They have a Grow a Road to Share program. And so basically home gardeners can sign up to basically grow an extra row to be donated to food insecure families through their local food banks. So since Mississippi State is in all 82 counties, this is just a local program here. But if we see that it is successful this year, then we want to basically talk to MSU about adopting that program.
Yeah, and something else on here you don't have is that Southern Miss has also really encouraged their student organizations to partner with you guys for community service. So it's really reached a lot of non-agriculture groups to be more concerned and more educated about agriculture, because like I was telling the kids before we came on, without agriculture, we don't have food, we don't have clothes, and we don't have shelter. So it's extremely important.
Right. So yeah, it's we have a lot of different partnerships, but like I said, I'm trying to limit it because there's so much I could share and there's so much that we're doing, but that cannot be put into just a little presentation. So And as far as our farmers market, it's going really well. I just really want to encourage people to shop local and to support our local farmers, because if you looked at the average age of a farmer now, they're well over in their 60s, 70s. You know, you don't have a lot of young farmers anymore. So we're just trying to encourage the community to get back to gardening. So this basically has been our community strategies and our fundraising ideas. So we have a lot of businesses in Petal that support us. I post very regularly to our Facebook page just to show people what we're doing and keep them abreast on everything that's going on. We try to encourage students to get involved even through the local school system. We do have like a career development program to where, hey, when we were building a gazebo, we reached out to the program coordinator. Would your students be interested in partnering with us to help build a gazebo or a shed that could give them experience? So once they get out in the real world, they'll have that experience once they apply for jobs. Our Interact Club with the school system, they're interested in partnering with us. And one thing I had talked to the superintendent about is actually creating lesson plans to come in at least maybe once a quarter to teach kids different gardening techniques and things of that nature. Awesome. We have annual events, which I kind of already touched on, the farmers market. And this year we are having those twice a month on the second and fourth Saturday of every month. We also have a local beekeeper that is donating a hive to us this year. Wow. So that's another thing.
Yeah. People forget that beekeeping is a big part of agriculture because we don't have honey without that. My grandmother big into that. I never got it, but that is extremely important.
Right. So, and we need our pollinators. So
absolutely.
And by them being so close to the nursery and they having all those flowers, you know, it's like a win-win for both of us. But our annual events that we have a kids gardening camp that we had last year in July.
Yeah, we read about that.
And this year we're planning to have it in May, right after the kids get out of school. So we're changing up the date on that, but also in September, we had Grub in the Garden with Felder Russian. Felder Russian is very popular across the state of Mississippi in terms of gardening. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was the first person to start the Master Gardeners program here. Yeah. So our next person that we have scheduled to speak in September is actually Dr. Gary Bachman. He just retired from MSU. So we have a lot of exciting things going on.
Now, before I get to some of the students' questions, I had a few things that I want to talk about, because we've had a few students come through Velma Jackson and some of our other high schools that have gone on to Mississippi State and Alcorn and their agriculture programs. And it's getting more and more science-based. It's, you know, you're doing the hands-on work, but like, as you just said, there's a lot of science involved in this. There's a lot of business involved in this. So what are some skills if somebody goes and gets the agriculture degree that they're going to have to know in order to be a successful person in gardening? Because obviously you see the need for a good food source in the community, and that's not going to end because people are going to have to eat forever. So what are some things that, you know, you said yourself, you don't have the agriculture background. What are some things that young people are going to have to learn if they want to get into creating that food source for the community?
I would say, let me think. So this is kind of new to me, so I'm learning as I go. But from some of the farmers that I have connected with, even the ones that's like in regenerative agriculture, to where they're using a more organic approach. As far if you want to be successful in agriculture, you have to, one of them told me that you have to basically know your market. So know your market. One thing he told me that's always going to be successful is like lettuce. I think their farm is averaging like 250 some thousand a year. Wow. So, but lettuce is has a high turnover. They can grow lettuce every 7 days. You know, not only that, microgreens is also a popular thing that's going on now that also can produce a lot of income. Um, I would say just get those basic courses. In addition to agriculture, make sure that you are also taking business classes, economic classes, because you need to know that information. Let me see, with
Yeah,
something
and
else.
we've actually had a couple students do the agriculture business program at Alcorn. And they've been very happy with it because it is a big business. Even though it is necessary for the community, it is a big business.
Right. And just go check out some of your farmers markets and see how they are, they're operated, because that is a business. That's something. We have one here that's very, very popular and it's lucrative, but you want to make sure that you're, I would say, even shadow farmers, and just see what they have going on. A lot of them are getting into the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
Around here, a lot of our local farmers, they basically focus on one crop, whether it be peppers, whether it be lettuce, whether it be onions. I've had local farmers ask me, or local businesses, would you be interested in growing peppers for us or growing onions for us? And we will pay you to do that because we know where it's coming from,
Yeah.
So a lot of them want to get away from these big chains, but they have to these big agriculture chains, but they want to make sure that they're able to get their product. So
And I just have one more before I get to the students' questions, and that is, even though it is the oldest art known to man, what type of technological advances are you seeing in agriculture? Because obviously, with the drones coming up now, we actually have a drone program in our Votech Center here in Madison County Schools, which is a huge part of agriculture now. Because in the big farms, drones are being used to see the type of land the land that's being farmed. So, what are some technological advances that you've seen just in your short time in agriculture?
um actually, well, I guess one that we were thinking about doing, which we know irrigation, they have the irrigation system set up. But I had a information technology teacher reach out to me that wanted to create like as long as we have an irrigation system, but the watering system is computerized to where we can just go on the computer and set times for it to water at certain times. It also detects how much moisture is in the soil, and it just waters automatically. So I thought that was pretty neat, and hopefully we'll be able to implement that this year. Um, I'm trying to think. It was some things that I noticed when I went to a conference in North Carolina. It's a lot of different things that they're doing, technological wise, there. I can't think of any right now, so I'm sorry, y'all. But
Well,
it's look, my brain is full of stuff.
I
So
understand. Well, I do have some questions from the students, and some of these are really good. So we'll see how good you can answer these.
okay.
The first one is Lakeria, and most of these are ninth graders. This is Lakeria Jackson. She's in ninth grade, and she asked, "What motivates you to work so hard, and where do you see your garden in 5 years?"
Hmm. What motivates me to work so hard? Well, I came from a single parent household. I watched my mom work two or three jobs to support her children. And that kind of instilled that work ethic in me. Um, I also watched her give her last to people. She was always helping somebody in some type of, in some type of way. So it's kind of embedded in me. Um, we'll say from a Christian standpoint and also from how it was raised. So that is what encourages me to work so hard. And honestly, when I have kids, I want to leave them something, you know, leave a legacy. My mom she was very active in her community. She always helped people, and this is what she instilled in us, because it's not just about us. We have to work together to help each other. Where do I see my garden in 5 years? So, I actually would like to have a community supported agriculture farm. Um, Mine would be solely focused on, we would have some aspect of that farm to make money to sustain us, but the other half will be basically community based, to where we can still keep the same concept here and give away produce to those that need it. Yeah, so actual full farm homestead. So that's where I see my farm in 5 years.
That's awesome. This is DeKayla Williamson. She's in ninth grade. She's one of our cheerleaders here. She asked, "What is your biggest pet peeve about gardening?"
Hmm. Um, gardening is very therapeutic for me, but because I have suffered a lot of loss within the last year. But my pet peeve, I would say, is the pest. You know, you
Oh,
learn
they're bad in the Pine
how to
Belt.
do it in an organic way.
Oh, they're
Is
bad down there.
yes, it is. I mean, the stink bugs almost took me over last year. So, and it's not really anything organic you can do to get rid of them. So, yeah, the pest.
This is a good question. This is Amari Williams. He's in ninth grade, and he asked, even though you have a background in corrections, what made you switch to agriculture?
um, well, I would say that I grew up in the country. I grew up in a rural area. My dad was very into outdoors and stuff like that. So I've always, I guess it kind of comes, it's inherited because my grandmother had a garden and she was into things like that. So I'm pretty much just tapped into it once I got older. I just think that eating what you grow is just so rewarding because you actually see it from seed to plant to actually producing the fruit off the vegetable. So that's just that's how I got into it. It was already embedded in me.
That's really cool. This is Jarvis Lyles. He's in ninth grade, and he asked, how long did it take your farm to get where it is now?
Well, actually, Jarvis, we started in March of last year. We started growing in June. So this will be our well, coming up in March will be a year since we started. So it didn't take very long. It took off quicker than I ever thought it was. So that is what lets me know that I'm on the right path.
That's
So
awesome. This is Rashunta Pierce. She's in ninth grade. She's one of our basketball players here. And she asked, what do you love most about your job?
which my main job or
What do you love most about being in charge of the Petal Healing Garden?
uh I guess being able to serve. Um, as I mentioned, I have a servant's heart. So being able to provide my community with something sustainable that's actually going to help them and not hurt them. That's the main thing for me.
Oh, absolutely. Now, this is a great question. This is Christian Mitchell. She's a junior. And she asked, has Petal Healing Garden been viewed as more of a business for you or a lifestyle choice? Or is it a combination of both?
Um, More so a lifestyle choice, I would say. Because I do maintain my full-time job, but it's a lifestyle choice. I often say if I can change one life, regardless of the monetary value of it, that means that's more rewarding than the monetary value. So it's a lifestyle choice.
Yeah, and what we've seen from most entrepreneurs, whether they be for profit, nonprofit, part time, full time, is that it really is a lifestyle change, but it's something that they get to serve the community or their market and what they're doing. And
Right.
also something that I did not realize till I started doing these is that majority of entrepreneurs, whether they be for profit, nonprofit, still have some type of other employment because of the cost of benefits and the cost of insurance. So that is something that I did not realize until recently was so prevalent. And I think a lot of people think they can just jump full time into entrepreneurship, but it is a lot tougher than that sounds. So that is a great point. And that's in any, not just in agriculture, that's in any field. So I've had people that own a hair product, but they still work full time at Jackson State. So there is a lot into that. So that's a good point as well. Now this is Michaela Davis. She's also a junior. It's actually her second day at Velma Jackson, but she came up with a great question.
Okay.
What is the most difficult challenge you faced while you've been operating the Petal Healing Gardens?
Balance. Um, my time. So because I do work full time and the people are so inviting and welcoming and wanting to get involved with what we're doing, I get a ton of requests to come speak and do other things and trying to balance that time. So yeah, that has been the most difficult part for me, but I'm working on that, to try to restructure that.
All right, I just got one more, and this is Gabriel G. He's a junior as well, and he asked, "What's the hardest part of running the garden?"
Mm,
I think
I
before,
would,
I think before the water pump, it had to be hauling the water. I mean, just hearing you talk about that.
yes, look, when you have to fill up 13 gallon jugs of water and actually load them up and take them to the garden, yes, that was very hard. But, it did not deter me. I persevered
That's
until
awesome.
until we were able to get a water source. But yeah, it's been a task, but it's been worth it.
Uh, that's awesome. Now we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for making some time for us today. Really cool things you're doing down there in the Pine Belt. But before we go, you said yourself that you grew up rural. We're a rural community. We're a rural all black community here at Velma Jackson. But we've had some great students get into agriculture. Agriculture is not going away. So why should these young people look into, even if it's just part time, getting involved in agriculture in their community, because it's been very beneficial for you?
I would say you need to get involved because you want to, as I stated, Mississippi is number one for food insecurity. I think we're number one for diabetes, kidney disease, and all that. It runs rampant in my family. You want to make sure that you are doing something to provide those outside of your family with you're caring for their health. I would say that's the main thing. You are caring for their health. Although
Absolutely.
it's agriculture, you want to make sure that you are able to do something. That's a way to be involved in your community.
Absolutely.
Even if you're just growing and selling produce and you're doing it the right way, then I think, that would be a reason to get into it.
Yeah, and even like you're absolutely right. Even if you're just on the business side, agriculture needs people to sell these products. Agriculture needs people to research these products. Agriculture needs people to analyze the soil, to run the drone. So even though you're a small operation, you see where all that is needed, and there are so many great careers that are coming up because of the food inequality and the food sources that are needed throughout Mississippi. So, but before we go, tell us where to find you down there in Petal.
Okay. So our garden site is on Carterville Road. Um, 226 Carterville Road in Petal, Mississippi. The other garden site is on 607 Hillcrest Loop in Petal, Mississippi. Um, Also, yeah, I mean, you can connect with me through Facebook, Petal Healing Garden on Facebook. You can also connect with me through the website.
Yeah,
So,
and always looking for volunteers. If anybody wants to get involved with any community service or get some experience in gardening, I think you're just hour or so down the road, not far at all. So again, Keeley Morgan, founder and operator of the Petal Healing Garden in Petal, Mississippi. Thank you so much for joining us today.
thank y'all for having me. Y'all take care.
All right, talk to you soon, my friend.
All right. Bye bye.